All right, let's talk about AI agents. We've all seen those mind-blowing demos, right? But let's be real, when you actually try to get them to do real work, they just kind of fall apart. Well, today we're going to close that gap. We are cutting through all the hype to give you a seriously practical guide to the AI agent systems you can actually use today. Let's dive in.
And this quote, this just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? You see these incredible research papers, these amazing demos, but the second you try to apply them to your own problems, they just don't work. It's brittle, it's unstable, it's super frustrating for anyone trying to actually build with this stuff.
So, to cut through all that noise, we've sifted through literally hundreds of systems to focus on the 27 that you actually need to know about. This whole explainer is built around the ones that are truly battle-tested and production-ready. We're talking about the systems real companies are using right now, the ones with stable APIs, real support, and proven results.
So here's the game plan. First, we'll tackle what I call the deployment gap. Then, we're going to explore agents that can literally automate your entire digital world, and others that can become your AI coding partner. After that, we'll get into the really cool stuff. Frameworks for building your own team of agents. And we'll wrap it all up with a super practical guide for choosing the right one for you.
So what is this agent deployment gap anyway? Well, think of it as this giant canyon between a cool demo in a lab and a real product you can rely on. A lot of research is based on cherry-picked examples that look great on video, but we're only focusing on the systems that have made the leap across that canyon, the ones with stable APIs, enterprise support, and a real user base solving real problems.
Let's kick things off with a category that's probably the most accessible for everyone, agents that can control your computer and browser just like a human would. This is where AI really stops being just a chatbot and becomes a true digital assistant that can click, type, and navigate for you.
And right off the bat, you've got this fundamental choice to make. On one side, you have these super polished, easy-to-use agents that only work inside your web browser. And on the other side, you have agents that can control your entire desktop. We're talking any application, from Photoshop to your weird old accounting software. It's that classic trade-off. Do you want focused simplicity, or do you want maximum power?
The whole landscape here breaks down pretty cleanly, actually. If you want something that just works for web stuff right out of the box, you're probably looking at OpenAI's Operator. If you need to automate some complex workflow that jumps between a bunch of different desktop apps, Claude is pretty much your go-to. If you live inside the Google ecosystem, Gemini is built for speed there. And if you're a developer who wants total granular control, the open-source browser use framework is going to be your best friend.
And this chart really just spells it out. The biggest difference is that Scope Pro. You can see Claude is the only one here that can break out of the browser and control your whole desktop. After that, it's all about what you need. Do you care most about it being easy for anyone to use? That's Operator. Need to automate that clunky old desktop app? That's Claude. Are you a technical team that wants to mess around with open source models? Browser use all the way. It really just comes down to what you're trying to do.
Okay, so let's switch gears from general computer use to something way more specialized, software development. We're talking about agents that are designed to write code, hunt down bugs, and even deploy software all on their own. And honestly, this is one of the most mature and powerful areas of AI agency out there right now.
You know, the choice here is going to feel pretty familiar. It's that same split we just saw. You've got these slick, deeply integrated commercial tools like GitHub Copilot, which is basically woven into the fabric of a developer's workflow. And then on the other side, you've got these incredibly powerful open source agents like SWA Agent and OpenHands, which give you a lot more transparency and customization, but yeah, they take a bit more work to set up. So what's the secret sauce that made these open source agents suddenly get so good? Well, it's this really clever idea called an agent-computer interface, or ACI. Think about it like this. Instead of just giving the AI a raw command line and making it use clumsy old tools like grep, these new agents have specialized commands designed for an AI, like search file. It's a much more direct way of telling the agent what you want, and it just dramatically boosts its performance.
And you can see the results of these new ideas right here in the numbers. SWA Agent was this huge breakthrough, right? It was able to successfully resolve almost 19% of real-world GitHub issues on a standard benchmark. But this field moves so fast. The team behind OpenHands built on those same ideas and pushed that success rate all the way up to over 27%. That is a massive leap in a really short amount of time.
So at the end of the day, it's about picking the right tool for your job. I mean, if you basically live inside GitHub and just want the smoothest possible experience, nothing beats Copilot. If you want to try a code editor that was built from the ground up for AI, you've got to check out Cursor. But if your team has this massive backlog of bugs you need to crush and you want an open source tool to just go to town on them automatically, then you're definitely looking at SE Agent or OpenHands. The trade-offs are pretty clear.
Okay, this is where it gets really fun. We've seen agents that can use your computer and agents that can write your code. But what if you want to build a totally custom team of agents that work together? Well, that's where multi-agent frameworks come in. The best way to think about them is like a box of Legos for building your own sophisticated AI systems.
So first up is LineGraph. Now, its core idea is that real work isn't always a straight line, right? So you build your agents as a graph. This is definitely for the power users. It lets you create these really complex workflows with loops, where an agent can try something, fail, and then circle back to do more research. You can add different branches for different scenarios, and you can even pause the whole thing for a human to come in and approve a critical step. It's all about giving you maximum control.
Now, for a totally different way of thinking, you've got Crew AI. Instead of thinking in terms of graphs and state machines, you think in terms of a human team. You actually define agents with roles, with goals, even with little backstories, like a senior research analyst or a witty tech journalist. This approach is so incredibly intuitive, especially for business workflows. You're not really programming a system, you're basically hiring and managing a virtual team.
So with all these options, how do you pick? Well, if you're all in on the Microsoft Azure ecosystem, their new agent framework is kind of a no-brainer. Need to build one of those complex looping workflows we talked about? LangGraph is your tool. Want something intuitive enough for business folks to use? That's Crew AI hands down. And if what you're really building is a system to search through huge piles of documents, what we call a RAG system, then Haystack is built specifically for that. Each one has its own clear superpower.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. So how do you actually make a decision and put one of these things into production without it blowing up? Don't worry, we've boiled it all down into a simple, practical checklist to guide you.
Before you deploy any agent system, you need to be able to answer these questions. Are the APIs stable, or are they going to change next week and break everything? Can you pay someone for support when, and trust me, it's when, not if, things go wrong? When it fails, can you actually figure out why it failed? How secure is it? What are all the hidden costs in tokens and compute? And the big one, will it actually scale? Think of this as your pre-flight checklist before you go from a cool experiment to a real, live system.
So, the big takeaway here is this. AI agents are not science fiction anymore. They are real, production-ready tools that can automate the tasks you do on your computer, that can partner with you to write code, and that can orchestrate entire business workflows. The toolbox is here, and it's ready to use. So the only real question left is, what are you going to automate first?